Hello, hello, hello. My name is Solar Dingo, and today I want to talk to you about Kipo and the Age of the Wonderbeasts. This is a Netflix original series produced by DreamWorks. It's an action adventure show, and it single handedly convinced me that I needed to start a YouTube channel just so that I could get the word out. Guys, I enjoyed this show so much. This is my first ever YouTube video, so please forgive any weird moments or whatever. Uh, yeah, feel free to tell me how I can improve, but let's just get right into the synopsis, okay? So, the story follows our titular character, Kipo, and her journey. Kipo is from a burrow, which is an underground haven where humans have taken shelter ever since an undescribed post-apocalyptic event changed the world in 2020. The show doesn't tell us what happened this year that ruined the world, and honestly, I don't want to know. After an attack on the burrow, Kipo was thrown into a dog-eat-dog world where only the toughest survive. Most of these survivors are mutated animals, anthropomorphic animals. Guys, this is a furry world and I love it. On her search for a way to get back home, Kipo learns how to survive with the help of Wolf, Benson, Dave, Mandu, and dozens of other characters. Throughout it all, Kipo is hunted by the main villain of the story, who I will not be spoiling in this review. The first thing you'll notice about Kipo when you're browsing Netflix is the bright colors. You'll see a lot of saturated colors, a lot of vibrancy, and I feel like it's all meant to really grab your attention. I think that idea really bleeds into the overall design of the show. Kipo's art design is really jagged and sharp. I think that's awesome, and it really helps it stand out from most of the other animated shows out there. In recent years, there's been an overall push towards round designs and pastel coloring, so to see a show that bucks that mindset completely to do its own thing is really refreshing. I think this has a lot to do with the show being completely hand-drawn. Yeah, that's right, this is a 100% hand-drawn show by Studio Mir. These are the same guys that animated The Legend of Korra and Voltron Legendary Defenders. I think the studio really did a great job with Kipo, although the environmental designs are kind of the lowest point of the show, honestly. The environmental designs are kind of par for the course for a post-apocalyptic series. You see a lot of rundown buildings, cars on the side of the road, vegetation taking over. Although there's a lot of bright colors, I don't think that the environments really stood out to me too much. However, Kipo does put in effort to make the characters really interact with the environment, which is something that doesn't happen too much in animated shows. Sometimes characters are hanging off skyscrapers, other times they're busting down doors and destroying everything in sight. There was even a car chase scene at one point, and I really enjoyed that. I don't think that the environmental art is the best, but I do think that it doesn't really matter. It does its job, and it allows us to focus on the actual backbone of the series, and that's the characters. So the titular character, Kipo, is a 12-year-old from the burrow. Yeah, guys, this girl is 12 years old, which I can accept because this show is heavily influenced by anime. But I really loved Kipo the moment that I saw her. She's an optimist to the core, always looking to see the best in every situation. Her optimism is really needed in respect to the rest of the series because everyone else in this series is really jaded and cynical, so she really balances everything out. She has her own struggles, of course, like figuring out how to get home, and she has some fears about the way her body's changing. Throughout the show, she's going through that point in your life when your body changes. It's completely natural, just extremely uncomfortable. And in addition to going through that whole mess, she's basically the one holding her ragtag team together. Kipo's a great kid, and you really do find yourself rooting for her as the series goes on. Wolf is the first human Kipo encounters. I really love how Wolf is used as a foil for Kipo. Even though she's only 9, she's had to harden a lot faster than Kipo, who spent her entire childhood safe and warm, never having to worry about her next meal. Wolf, on the other hand, has had to grow up on the surface since she was a little kid, and that really contributed to her self-reliant attitude. She definitely acts as the muscle of the group, and she's dangerously competent. Wolf's backstory is pretty heart-wrenching, as you'd expect from a Batman-style character, but you really do see her open up and show emotions as time goes on. Next, you have Benson and Dave, who I don't feel really grow as characters as much as Kipo or Wolf. The two of them come in as best friends, and they finish the season as best friends who happen to have expanded their friend circle. Both of them really dig music. I found it cool that they would reference artists throughout the show. Like, for example, at one point, they reference Michael Jackson, which I really dug because I like Michael Jackson. These guys are bros through and through, but I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing them as the same character. The only real difference between the two is that Benson is more conscious of others' feelings and needs, while Dave is the kind of guy who just likes to stroke his own ego. Of course, both of them improve as time goes on, but just not as much as Wolf or Kipo. Mandu is a four-eyed, six-legged pig with an affinity for Cheetos. She doesn't talk, but she does make her opinions known by squealing and biting. She's pretty versatile and can fight when need be. Overall, I think she's a great sidekick. As the show progresses, you really do start seeing characters come into their own and the main group becoming more and more of a family. All of the interactions felt realistic and the writing was full of personality. There were a few times when I thought that the writers were going to force some kind of interaction to happen for the sake of plot. If you watch a lot of kids shows, there's always some sort of liar revealed arc where the characters break up and make a big deal out of a lie, only to come back together 10 minutes later. I always felt that kind of thing was ham-fisted and unnecessary, so when Kipo just straight up got to the point, I was ecstatic, guys. I have to give it so many kudos for doing that. I also have to give it huge props for the use of music throughout the series. I really love the soundtrack. It takes a lot of cues from hip-hop, and unfortunately I don't know much about hip-hop, so I don't feel that I'm really qualified to talk about it. So instead, I'm just going to recommend my two favorite songs from the show. There's Girl Like by Dope St. Jude and Purple Jaguar Eye by Sterling K. Brown. You can find the entire soundtrack on YouTube on the Backlot Music channel. I recommend that you watch the show all the way through before you listen to the soundtrack though. I feel that everything will hit you harder if you go in blind, and I don't want you to miss out on that experience. Overall, I really enjoyed Kipo and the Age of the Wonderbeasts. I think it's a really cool show and a great introduction to animation in 2020. I usually have a rule about watching shows on Netflix: one episode in the morning, one episode at night. It keeps me from binging everything because I really want to savor my shows, you know? I don't want to go through an entire show in a day and basically be entertainmentless for an entire month. So when I was watching Kipo, I found it incredibly difficult to turn off. Even though it was only 10 episodes, every minute was so much fun. The plot reveals were great. The characters were so lovable. I just had so much fun with it that turning off the TV every day was so difficult. I definitely have to give this series a 10 out of 10, and I am looking forward to seeing season 2. If you want to hear more about my opinions, feel free to subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts about Kipo, so please comment below. I also have a DeviantArt and an Instagram if you're interested. If not, that's fine. Yeah, I guess that's all. Love you guys. Bye.